We also have a Shakespeare Festival that we're actually sponsoring, and I see some faces here where we're competing with ourselves with Macbeth over on Theater 5 tonight, but there is Midsummer Night's Dream coming up next Thursday, so welcome everybody to try and get over there. And lastly, we've got an essay contest, part of Silicon Valley Reads, I think a number of you may know about. For the 7th year in a row now, we'll be encouraging folks to read the same book as part of Silicon Valley Reads, and if you want to get part of the dialogue, go to our website, Cupertino Library Foundation. You can see last year's history and be part of the dialogue, and there's some great prizes too. At any rate, thanks again, and glad to be a part of this. Thanks everybody for coming on a rainy night.
So we do have a little surprise for you tonight. First, I'd like to introduce Gilbert Wong. He's here representing the City of Cupertino to present you with an award.
My name is Gilbert Wong, immediate past mayor and council member, and really my honor, Ms. Nichols, to meet you personally here, and I was very inspired by your speech. If you can kindly stand up, as I wanted to give you a proclamation. You can be steady right there. Very inspired. As you can tell, I'm also Asian, just like you're Black American, but I was very inspired by the diversity.
I'm also Asian.
But I do look young, but by watching all the Star Trek TV shows growing up here in the 70s here in Santa Clara County, I was very inspired by your speech. But on behalf of the City of Cupertino, and let me take off my glasses to read. We're the opposite here. Whereas the City of Cupertino is pleased to welcome Ms. Nichelle Nichols to Cupertino for the Star Trek event, The Future of You, at the Bluelight Cinemas on Thursday, December 11th, 2014. And whereas Ms. Nichols is a Renaissance woman of many talents, performing as an accomplished singer and dancer, producer, author, and television icon, most notably recognized as Lieutenant Natalia O'Hara in the original Star Trek television series. And whereas Nichelle Nichols continued her status as a role model by serving on the board of directors of the National Space Institute, NASA, where she participated in its astronaut recruitment program and received NASA's Distinguished Public Service Award. And whereas Nichelle Nichols had a consultant firm, Women in Motion Inc., where she produced and starred in the Smithsonian Institute National Air and Space Museum, where in Is For Me. And whereas Nichelle Nichols has been integrally involved with bringing forth in the popular culture the vision of a better, more inclusive, innovative, and peaceful world. Now, therefore, the City of Cupertino wishes to recognize and thank Nichelle Nichols for a lifetime of work toward improving our society and helping us all inspire to reach the stars.
Thank you so much for this honor. It is my honor to receive it. It's my honor to give back to humanity that has given so much to me. I love you all, each and every one of you, including you so much, and including you. And I thank you so much because our children are our future, and our future, yes. Oh, yeah? Okay. He wants an autograph.
I also have two young daughters, and one of them wanted to come on tonight, but she had to do her homework tonight, and she was really inspired by your shows and everything, having her watch the old ones.
Thank you, and you made her stay home and study. Huh?
Yeah. It is a weeknight tonight.
Just like my father.
Yes. Again, thank you, and as you know, Cupertino is home of Apple Campus 2, and the speech actually has landed here as they're expanding their campus here in Cupertino.
Good luck. Thank you so much.
We have one other special award. Darcy Paul is here, recently elected to Cupertino City Council, but currently President of the Cupertino Chamber of Commerce, and he has a few words for you as well.
Thank you.
Hi, Ms. Nichols. It's truly an honor to meet you. I don't think I can express how much Star Trek made a big difference to my brother and myself growing up. It was kind of like our Bible, frankly. And I'd imagine too, a lot of people here, they can relate a lot of their day-to-day lifetime experiences to it. But I'll make this very, very brief. So as the president of the Chamber of Commerce, this is my one and only certificate of commendation this year, before the year ends. I just wanted to read it. It's to Nichelle Nichols for helping to promote the Cupertino business community and for a lifetime of work towards fostering a better social environment for communities and businesses everywhere. So
Thank you so much. This goes on a special wall in my home with other commendations that I've have received in my lifetime of trying to take what I have been so lucky to receive and express that out, especially to young people, that if you wish it, you can do it. If you think about it, you can do it. And don't let anybody change your mind when you want to do something, become someone wonderful and great and do great things. You can do it, and we're behind you because we love you and because we've had an opportunity to do a little thing in life. And one of those little things that became a big thing is like me standing here and receiving your good grace. And I thank you so very, very much, and this will go in a very, very prominent place in my home.
thank you so much, Ms. Nichols.
Thank you very much. Oh.
And now, we would like to do a special presentation and gift to the library. So if, Susan, if you can come up. Gayatri, please come up to accept.
Let's show what she's getting here. This is Sean Kenney's book, which I think is the most amazing cover of the real Sean Kenney and the one from Star Trek merged together. So that's that. Why don't you hold this one? And we have Beyond Uhura, Nichelle's book. You recognize that? You recognize that person. And that goes into the library. And good God, this is what I did over the weekend. You thought I was joking. Here's season 1, season 2, and it isn't even out yet. You get it first. It comes out next week, season 3 of Star Trek. That's about it, isn't it? 3 seasons, I think?
So.
And everything you ever want to know about the making of every episode of Star Trek will be in the Cupertino Library, right?
All right.
Thank you, Mark, and one last special thanks to Emerging Artist Productions for really putting together this set and enabling this event to be presented in a really appropriate way here at Bluelight Cinemas.
All right, we're going to talk about Star Trek. We've been talking about how people feel about Star Trek and what how it touched so many people growing up. And you live here in this area, and you see all the technology that came out of this show. Let me set this up real quick, and then I'm going to talk to you for a moment because we've been paying too much attention to Nichelle. All right. So it came together in 1964. It didn't get on the air until '66. So we're 2 years away from the 50th anniversary. You were 10, I think. 10 years old.
Not quite.
Not quite. That's the makeup that made you look older. But Gene Roddenberry had just finished making a show called The Lieutenant for NBC, and it got taken off the network because he dared to put on an episode that you were in, which you and Don Marshall were in this episode about racism on a Marine base, and the whole series was shot down in Camp Pendleton. And the network got cold feet and didn't want to put it on the air. And Gene Roddenberry raised hell, went to the press, pretty much forced the network into airing this episode. And then the week after that, even though the ratings were good, they got the pink slip, as it often happens in television.
Yeah, and then it became all their idea.
Yeah.
When it became so big for them.
Yeah.
They said, you know, that they had helped Gene in getting it, yeah. Yes, yeah.
Well, so he was ready to walk away from TV. Now, he had been in TV for many years, working as top writer on Half Gun Will Travel and shows like that. And he decided, well, if I'm going to do another series, I have to find a way to be talking about the issues that I want to talk about. Racism, sexism, religion, the war in Vietnam, all these things. And back then, you couldn't do that on network TV in the entertainment division. You could do it on the news division, but not entertainment. Of course, the news division was controlled by what the network wanted to tell you, their politics. So he kind of went with the Jonathan Swift idea that if you could tell stories on another planet, you could talk about Vietnam, you could talk about these things. Remember the episode where the guy was black on one half side and white on the other half side? And Kirk says, you both look alike. He says, are you blind? His people are black on the left side.
On the wrong side.
You know, which is a beautiful, beautiful statement. Now, I know a few people, most people love that episode, myself included. A few people said, it's a little over the top. And I said, but isn't racial prejudice over the top? If you're going to make commentary on that, that's the way to do it. So he wanted to get this show on the air. It took 2 years, 2 pilots to finally get it on there. And it premiered in September of 1966. And the world changed completely. Between I Spy on NBC and Star Trek that same year, interracial casting now became acceptable on television, breaking the stereotypes in
Gene
interracial.
changed the face of television forever, and that's what we owe him, even more than wonderful, entertaining plays or whatever he put on TV. He changed the face of television forever.
Talked about things that couldn't be talked about.
Exactly.
You and Bill Shatner, and we're going to get to the technology in a moment, you and Bill Shatner doing the first interracial kiss on
Yes.
television.
Yes.
And the network suits came down there and they were on the set and didn't want you guys to do it.
Oh, I have to tell you the story on that. It went back to, it has to go to New York because they were the power of our show, and shows like us on that station, you know. And what was it, NBC?
NBC.
NBC.
Yes. National Biscuit Company, I think it is, right?
Yes, yeah. And what happened is we all said, well, I knew it, you know, well, we knew that we weren't turned out. And lo and behold, came this magnificent, okay, go. And if you're gonna do it, do it. Well, the guy that's trying to get it done, he's going like, do they mean this? He was telling us all about it and what, and then we were shooting, and we kept saying, we'll shoot one more, but they're gonna cut us off. You know, one more came, and we're waiting. They're gonna do one more, and then they're gonna cut us off. And so we just kept going through and then finally we said, I think we're in. You know, because we got great reviews and all kind of fan mail, and it changed New York. The major people.
Rockefeller Plaza.
Rockefeller Plaza shook. and then we were like the fair-haired kids on the block, you know, now. And even we thought that couldn't happen, you know. So we said, we'll get in as many episodes as we can. Yeah. Before
We're gonna keep doing these things.
Exactly. And then the head of NBC came out to California, and we thought that he had come out to tell us we were all fired, you know, that was not going on. And he came out and he said, well, I really didn't come out to do that. I came out because I got to meet Nichelle Nichols. and I thought, you know, they were putting me on, you know. And he just about that time, because he was on the lot, he came in as we were just taking our break, and he's telling us all of this stuff, and he walks in, and most of the cast didn't recognize who he was, but I knew immediately the way the man walked in was, you know, he owned the studio. And our director looked and saw him and knew who he was, you know, and he got all jittery. And he said, I'm sorry to interrupt your shoot. He said, but I'll be very brief. And everybody went, oh God. You know, like, very brief is like you're all fired at the end of the show. He said, I'll be very brief. I couldn't wait any longer. I had to come out now. I have to meet Nichelle Nichols. I dropped whatever I had. What did he say? What did he say? We're all saying, I don't know, and he said, I'll say it again, I came out just to meet Nichelle Nichols. And he said, and yes, they wanted to cancel the show. But I told them as long as Nichelle Nichols was on it, it wasn't going to get canceled. Now, I thought he made that up, you know, except people in New York kept coming, what's going on? Do you know this guy? You know, like, what do you mean, what's going on? They loved the show, and it became the #1 show. It was just a wonderful thing that happened, that can happen in this world just when you think it's gone to hell.
Yeah, there were people there who did love it.
Heaven woke up and said, oh no, this has got to work.
Yeah, it was a battle because there were people who didn't and people who did. There were a lot of supporters of Star Trek at NBC.
Oh, yes.
And then there were also the bottom line people who were worried, not about the ratings as we heard for decades, because in these books I actually publish all the ratings reports. One night Star Trek had a 47% audience share. 47% of the people in America were watching Star Trek. But there were some people in the network that said they weren't because of the politics of some of these episodes.
Yeah, and that it was really it, because it was politics, but told as, well, we all go through politics. We all have politics in our life. And what this was doing was showing how various people handled that and brought infinite diversity and infinite combinations to the hit.
And this is why that's so important.
Yes.
Because, see, what the problem they had then, now Stan Robertson, who was one of the head programmers at NBC, was black. You know, there was a lot of support for your show and for I Spy, but they were worried about some of the southern affiliates, because if you're a network, you have to take care of all your affiliates. Is everybody going to carry the show across the country? And so there was a lot of worry about that, but because of these two shows in particular, and then shows that came right after you, like Room 222 and Julia and so forth, that changed the face of TV, and that changes the face of America and the face of the world. Sean, the other thing that it changed is again, we mentioned it earlier because we're here, is the technology. Because of the character you played, you're the guy to tell us about this.
Yeah, when I was in the show and I realized that the technology was really expounded upon very little in our own personal knowledge, and I would just ask people, what's this, what's that, and they'd say, oh, this is going to be in the future, this, and I even brought one of the communicators. If you come by my table over there, I have one from the show that's the original flip phone. And I'm thinking, wow, look at this, you know, and it's just like they have today. And exactly, and so, and there's other things that were laying around on the set, and I would say, what's that? And they'd say, oh, this is this. I was so fascinated by how many things came up in that think tank, I call it, of Gene Roddenberry's mind, and I'm sure there were other people, the prop people, that said, hey, why don't we do it this way? But one of the most important things was myself in playing Captain Mike in the wheelchair, because they did not have a wheelchair that moved by itself if you just hit a button or wanted it to move. So when Gene came up to me, he says, I need you to move this chair from the window where you're sitting looking out, and, you know, thinking about maybe your life when you were whole, and now all of a sudden these people interrupt your life. I want you to be able to turn. And I said, well, how am I going to do that? Oh, this guy created this thing called a joystick. Hello? And he says he's put it on this little golf cart motor inside this wheelchair in here. And he just thought it was a cool idea that you wouldn't just roll your arms around because you're not supposed to be able to move. You're catatonic, you can't move. And he said, but it comes from your brain waves. Like, and I thought, from your brain waves? I mean, this is 1966, and you're saying, and now Mark informed me the other day they have a wheelchair that for the people coming back from the war zones and stuff, that if they put it in their mind they want to turn or go right or left, they can do it now with that wheelchair. So that, yeah, so that was just one of the things. And then the transporter. I love the fans coming to my table, and especially the ones that are physically challenged. When they come to my chair, I almost cry because they say, you gave me the reason to go on. I said, what? And these people are in their chair and their heads over like this. And they're just able to look at me. And they said, I wanted to go before this, but when I saw Star Trek, I didn't want to go anymore. I figured you were in that chair and you couldn't even speak. I can talk, I can do something. I can't sit up, but I can do this. And I thought, wow. It was so moving to me when the first gentleman came, and then more gentlemen and women came, and they were also in wheelchairs. And they said, you don't know how much this character had an effect on me, you know, for going through that. And I said, amazing. And I kept thinking about the technology, and then I thought about, wow, when is this going to happen? And Mark informed me the other day that, I don't know if you remember, but Bones in the show, the doc, he had almost a device like today you would call it a portable MRI, where he would just go over to you and go like this and figure out what was wrong with you. And I thought, how genius is that? Maybe that'll be 50, 60, well, here it is, coming up on 50 years. And Mark informed me there is a portable.
They patented it about 6 months ago.
Yes.
You'll start seeing in your doctor's office where they're going to start going like this to you.
Like,
Won't that save time?
You
Wait till you get your
what's
bill.
wrong with you? And of course, I mean, the list goes.
Places.
Exactly. I mean, the list goes on. The computer, and then we've got.
Well, the PC, yeah, you know, because they
PC.
looked at it and said, you know, Spock has his computer, we can get all the information of the world in a second.
Yeah, exactly.
We have that now for about 20 years.
Exactly.
20 years ago, we used to pull books off the shelf, now we got that. And so it was all these kids watching the show,
Yeah.
thinking, why can't we have
Why
that?
can't we make that? Like the automatic doors, you know, so it was so funny with the prop people because sometimes the doors didn't open. And in the blooper reel, if you've seen it, you know, Shatner walks right into the door because the
one of
doors,
you
remember, they
mentioned,
always went, shh, shh. Well, they didn't have doors like that before.
Sean, I think you mentioned Gary Lockwood a moment ago.
Yeah.
Watch that episode he's in, or what we were talking about, you know, from his TV show,
Yeah.
Lieutenant, in Where No Man Has Gone Before.
That's correct.
He's in his bed, reading a book, on a screen, click, 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 and it just keeps going by.
The Kindle.
What does that look like? Kindle.
Exactly.
And Amazon says they created it.
Come on, you watched it. But there's also one other thing besides the wheelchair that I had to relate to.